right? The sovereignty, because when somebody else comes here and they get tagged with American on their origin, Italian American, whatever American, right? Notice they never say Canadian American, even though Canada is in America, right? The claim is that Canada is a country, and the attachment of America should be really what it is up here, not just Canadian only. Because Canada's in America, but then when you look into all caps corporate entities, when they make reference to Canada, we have to acknowledge that it's a corpse that they're talking about. We have to acknowledge that, yeah, for example, with the Olympics, with the grass, he's running for people. He's not running for the corpse. That's why so-called United States has USA on their stuff, not U.S. Because they're dealing with the country jurisdiction. They're not dealing with the corporate jurisdiction. The people who are running and jumping and doing whatever for the Olympics are corporate entities. But they are representing not the corporation, or it would have been called such. Like when we say corporation, we're saying U.S. What we know is enslaving people and all that. They are pseudo-representing the people of the jurisdiction of the Americas, which includes Brazil and all these other people, which is even, when we look at it, even being where it is. And then, you know, the whole concept of you know, U.S. being elite, and then everybody else is trying to match there or prove themselves to them that they're better than, when really it's all the other places that are better. Because majority of those places are still dealing with national, they're still dealing with the constitutional aspect, on top of them sending nationals to go and, you know, participate, opposed to sending corporate entities to go participate under the guise that they won this thing, so now they whatever for their country. You know, now when they bring it back, now it's going to the courts. Because everything as far as Olympics always happens in an international arena. It always happens somewhere where nationals are able to go, right? Nationals can't go everywhere in the world. But when it comes down to Olympics, no matter where you're from, once you're quote unquote represented, you're allowed to participate. Now when we look at right, even with the 5 rings, the 5 rings is all the denominations of the fiat that they got everywhere. Penny, dime, nickel, quarter, dollar. Right? Showing their hold. That's why all of them are interlocked or whatever. They're showing their hold on the world using this same system, the 1933 bankrupt whatever system that the Europeans on their video are saying is unconstitutional. And then we have all the timelines of 1912, 1913, 1933, 53. We have all these timelines to show that there was something about 1912, 1913 that things happened during that time. There was things going on during that time. Vatican, you know, World War, all these things going on during this period, and as things are falling, because remember they said 1912, U.S. debt owed, so they're bankrupt since then, right? And then they say 27, then they say 29, then they say 33, and then all these are bankrupt times. All these are times where they're not even supposed to have the power to be doing certain things that they're doing. How are they getting away with it? Because, when somebody asks the question, because Hiram Abiff is asleep. Hiram Abiff, the founder, Hiram Abiff, the grand architect, got buried in a shallow grave. And while he was buried, these people had this time to do all this stuff. Industrialists talking about they're not paying taxes because everything was donated to philanthropy. So since they made their donation to taxes, you don't even come to us to talk about taxes, right? Supreme Court ruling, tax on wages being unconstitutional. And then him breaking down in the video that whatever the Supreme Court says is unconstitutional, then that's what it is. You can't even do anything to change that. When we look at these Moors talking against rights, the same unconstitutional complex individuals talking against rights, talking against civics, talking against Supreme Court rulings that people have a right to travel. They don't need a license. They shouldn't pay taxes. Moors are saying, nah, forget that. You should pay your taxes. You should get a license. You should get this, you should get that. Not teaching people how to live in contracts, nothing. Just straight telling them to go subject themselves to the U.S. Incorporation. Subject themselves to Canada Corporation. Subject themselves to all caps letter names. Artificial entities, corporate entities, not recognizing that District of Columbia, DC, is a private corpse, not realizing that the royalty, the so-called royalty that they're saying is in Europe, that they've been in debt. It's not something new. They've been in debt. That's why they make their so-called corporations and go pillage other people's land, take the resources, take the minerals, take the artifacts, and now they have the property and they use the property as collateral. But they're not getting rid of the property. They're keeping the property. To say that they have collateral so that they can transfer the debt onto everybody who has a birth certificate, license, and any other instrument that these people gave them. That they took under the guise that those people are the government, when Europeans are breaking it down that these people are private corporations. That we shouldn't really be having anything to deal with as far as recognition or acknowledgement from them that they're government or they have some type of power. Right? And keep in mind again that when you're doing your research, history of the Americas, and you get to 1860s going into now, you're talking about corruption at its peak. Incline of corruption from McFadden talking about it, wrestler guy, Jesse Ventura talking about it. You know what I mean? All these people who were so-called government officials in posts coming out and talking about things. We were talking about in the car with the brother when you went to when you were building with them. Well, yeah, just right. So just to bring that up with acknowledging that the people who are doing the unconstitutional things, they know about the constitutional aspect. It's not that they're oblivious to it, so they're doing what they want. They know that the Constitution they know that constitutional law is what governs them. But they also know that the people have been cheated by their own, who had this information about constitutional law and civics, and they weren't relaying the message to the people. That's why people are so dumbed down today. Because all the different movements, their duty was to teach the people about making sure that they enforce the Constitution, making sure that they are living to a certain standard. When we talk about Harriet Tubman taking the slave off the plantation and then go on the Underground Railroad, one of the first things to do is put on these different clothes so that they don't identify you as whatever. As soon as they look at a brother, oh, you got the fez on, okay, that's not Negro. Oh, that's not Negro, and then they decide how they're gonna act, right? Same thing with slavery time. As soon as you see, oh, he's wearing a suit, oh, he's definitely not a slave if he has a suit on. He's definitely not a slave if he doesn't have the cut shorts and the cut shirt and whatever like that, looking like, you know what I mean, disheveled. Okay? So the duty of the people that have the info is to let the ones who don't have it know. Because once the people don't know, they're falling victim to, you know, Titanic sinking and stuff like that, under guise that, oh yeah, we just hit iceberg or whatever. When people steered stuff into things, right? When you start talking about when you think about things like, you know, Bermuda Triangle, all this type of stuff just disappearing, planes disappearing, people don't know where planes are gone or whatever like that. It's all this same stuff, right? Things set up in society to get people's attention diverted from all the truth that's being bombarded on them. Oh, something happened, send them off into some oblivion. All these people here that say that they're, you know, New York Knicks fans and all that stuff. Yeah, go Knicks, and we got Derrick Rose now or whatever. Well, you know, New York Knicks come from Knickerbocker. And Knickerbocker was a trust company that these people used to escheat. So if they have a trust company called Knickerbocker, and then now that's a basketball team, that's no different than Hudson's Bay Company. Now that's a store that we can go to, when really, you know, the origin of that was kill Indians, kill all the animals, take all the fur, whatever like that, take everything they got, market it, sell it. This is the idea of them saying that lands are corporations, right? The idea is that those places are really for them to store their merchandise, whether it's people, whether it's items, whatever it is. They're gonna hide their things in the corporation. So when we start talking about Canada's a corporation, the United States is a corporation, these places are actual entities that were created to rob the people, then the people have a different perspective of what it is. And once they have a different perspective of what it is, then that takes away the power. But then if the people don't have a nationality and they think that they can just, you know, think their way out of this without doing anything, as far as like Noble Drew Ali saying, taking your place amongst the affairs of men, then there's nothing that's going to happen. Which is why nothing has happened. Which is why it comes, you know, things that Drew Ali said, we see the importance of them later. Like Moors live close together and stuff like that. Because it's only going to be us to fend for each other. We aren't looking toward no Negro, Black, whatever like that to say, you know what I mean, oh yeah, I need something. They're going to be so out of this that they're not even going to be included. Are you going to be able to, you know, contact with your brothers from the East that Noble Drew Ali said is going to come? Which they're here, and we know Moors who deal with them, and they're like, yo, we're waiting for you guys.